is getting rid of the Department of Education. I have school-aged kids, so what does he mean by that?
Videos of the Chinese kindergartners being absolutely elite at everything that they do, they occupy 90% of my brain power right now. And
Democrats just tried to storm the Department of Education and got blocked at the door. Maxine Waters and a group of Democratic Congress members showed up at the Department of Education. They were demanding a meeting with Acting Secretary Denise Carter. Their goal? To discuss education policy amidst talks of potentially abolishing the department altogether. But here's where it gets wild. Security was not having it. They were straight up denied entry, left standing outside while cameras rolled. So now this has everyone talking. On one side, people are saying security did the right thing by enforcing protocol and maintaining order. On the other, some are calling this a major overreach, saying elected officials have a right to access these government spaces. And here's the cherry on top. This isn't just about education policy. It's also about Trump and Musk and debates over control and reform in government institutions. Was this security doing their job or an overstep that limits elected officials' rights? Tell me in the comments.
Is there anything you've told Elon Musk he cannot touch?
Well, we haven't discussed that much. I'll tell him to go here, go there. He does it. He's got a very capable group of people. Very capable. They know what they're doing.
Is getting rid of the Department of Education. I have school-aged kids, so what does he mean by that? It took me a hot minute to find straightforward information about what he was talking about that wasn't emotionally charged. And what I found out by this is, yes, he is getting rid of the Department of Education, but on the federal level, he's bringing it to more power to the states. Generally, this is what the Department of Education does. So if we got rid of that, each state would decide its own funding, policies, rules for schools. People like this idea because they think that their local leaders understand their communities better than the federal government, which might make the schools more responsive to the local needs. On the other hand, losing funding might hurt poorer schools. And with states having different standards, it could create gaps in education quality. Also, those students that rely on federal protections, like those with disabilities, might lose their funding based on if their state changes their policy. So, pros, moving the power to the states might give the local areas more control. Cons, it could create major differences in the quality of education and protections. Hopefully now you understand, and it's a less scary concept. Or more scary, depending on the way you look at it.
We've been telling you for a long time he wants to get rid of the Department of Education, which funds public schools around the country. That means that our public schools that we have now will not exist in the same way. Very likely could go away and be replaced with private or charter schools, which is so bad for low-income people. Oh my God. Also, if you got a student loan, that does not mean that it gets forgiven. It does not. It's probably, because no one's ever thought of doing this before, it's probably gonna be given to private industry. So it's probably gonna be sold off to some private company, which is notorious for being very good to work with. Yeah. And also you're probably not gonna, be able to get a student loan. So if you're about to go to college, if you are 18 and you voted for Trump and you're about to go to college, guess what? You might not be able to take out a student loan through the federal government because Donald Trump is gonna dismantle the Department of Education. That means you have to go through private loans, which are so much more expensive and are not subsidized while you're in school. Oh my God. So you're telling us that you're going to restrict our reproductive rights, and then when we do have kids, our kids are not going to go to fully funded public schools. They're going to have to go to private or charter schools that might not be the best fit for them or might not be the most accessible for them. And then when they do eventually maybe want to go to college, they're going to have to sign up for even more expensive private student loans with high interest rates and are not subsidized while they're going to school. Sick. Cool. Yeah. Get the IUD. If you're thinking about getting an IUD, get an IUD. It'll last the entirety of his presidency. Get an IUD if you can. Consult your doctor. Do it now. I'm being genuine. Do it now if you don't want kids in the next 4 years.
So I uploaded a video on rednote, and Chinese kids are asking me for help with their English homework. Like, I'm not joking. Let's help Chinese kids.
My dear Americans, I know you guys are all heading over to Literate Book to help Chinese students with their English homework. I just want you guys to know that it should have gone, not should have went. By the way, as far as I know, when I was in China, my English textbooks were all written by British people, which is why I have the perfect British accent. So we spell color with O-U-R, and we spell center with T-R-E, which is kind of weird, I have to admit. By the way, when it comes to quotation marks and commas, commas are supposed to be outside of the quotation marks.
Poor little Chinese students are going to go to school on Monday, and their teacher is going to give them a C on their English homework. And the kid is going to go, no, I had the Americans help me with it on rednote. It's definitely right. And the teacher's going to say, no, you used the wrong to, you used the wrong your, you used the wrong there.
Stay on rednote, TikTok friends.
If you're an American who tried to help someone on Xiaohongshu with their English homework, but you messed it up, listen to this. The hardest test I've ever taken was to prove that I speak English, and it is called the IELTS. So I needed to take this test because I wanted to move to Australia permanently. I was born in America. I went to school in America. I have a master's degree. I have an undergraduate degree and a master's degree that I got from Australia where they speak English. So for me to go to school in Australia, they did not ask me to take an English test. But for me to permanently move there, that was one of the requirements. I took AP classes when I was in high school. I was mostly studious. You know, I used to read books. I used to write essays. I took the SATs. The SATs were like a walk in the park compared to this test, okay? This test, I was so stressed because I was like, why is this so hard? You know, doing the practice test, I was like, what the hell? I was like, nobody reads this way. And the test is out of 9. I got an 8.5 out of 9. And you'd figure, as someone who has grown up speaking English their entire life, that they would get a 9 out of 9. And I remember talking to someone who was also trying to move to Australia, and he's from China, and he told me that he's taken the test 8 times. 8 times. So, and he was like, it's very hard for me to go and pass this test. And I was like, I was stressed that I was not going to pass this test. So, go and check it out, because it's fucking hard.
Trump is set to dismantle the Department of Education, and here is why I think that this might be a blessing in disguise. Now, before anybody tries to come for me, I'm a critical thinker. I ask questions, and I have actual facts and research to back up my deductive reasoning and the conclusion that I come to. Now, the Department of Education plays a huge role in setting policies, funding, and national goals for our school systems. And I 100% think that they have played a huge role as to the problem that we have in society, which is we as a society lack analytical and critical thinking skills to be able to be independent, free thinkers. And not only that, it started because of the fact that we went from 1 to 24 in the ranking in education. And this all started with the No Child Left Behind by we all know who. And when that started, it was more focused on standardized testing rather than, pushing down or teaching analytical skills, critical thinking skills, and problem solving. Now, just my own piece based off of my own conclusions. Now, fast forward into today's society with the workforce being replaced by AI and automated now, most days. Now we have a workforce that does not have the critical thinking skills, the analytical skills, and the problem solving skills to even be able to do any of these jobs. Therefore, there's a lot of people out of work. There's a lot of people that are getting laid off, and there's a lot of people still trying to find jobs after months and months and months because they do not have the skills to be able to do the new jobs that are being, replaced by AI. I 100% agree and think that the Department of Education, I'm not pointing any fingers, but the math is not mathing. I mean, this is not even a joke. Like, some things are not adding up as to why people have been able to say, yes, on paper, I can pass this test, I can do this, I've gone to college, but now with all of the automations that they're doing now, people are not able to get jobs, and they have not developed these other skills that are vital to be able to be in the workforce. Now, those are my thoughts and everything. I don't know whether to call this for educational purposes because I'm not an educator, but comment what your thoughts are and let me know what you think.
Trump is supposed to get rid of the Department of Education. Let me give you a few foods for thought. First of all, how do you pay back loans to a department that doesn't exist? So will all student loans be forgiven? So we, the American people, pay the taxes that go to the government to fund our schools. So we're paying bureaucrats six-figure incomes to make decisions for our schools. And let's be real, most of them have no idea how a classroom is ran, let alone a school or where the funds should be going. And the schools are left with the crumbles of what's ever left over from paying their salaries. And do you also realize that K through 12 schools really don't even get much of that funding? It goes to colleges and federal aid. If you're worried about your kids' K through 12 schooling, I don't think there's anything to worry about. So what are your thoughts on this issue?
Trump and Elon Musk are planning to dismantle the Department of Education. And to be honest, I don't know about y'all, I agree. The Department of Education is a huge failure. The kids can't read. And not only can the kids not read, according to their math standards, even if you get the answer correct, it's still wrong if you don't do it the way that they have laid out. That is some mental thing that they're doing with the kids, to let them know that you have to stay in this line. You have to stay in this lane. Even when you're right, you're wrong because we said you're wrong, which is literally like, that's crazy. I remember one of my kids took a math test and he got the answer correctly, but because he didn't do the steps the way that the teacher taught, which is the teachers, are required to teach them a certain way, he got it wrong. That's ridiculous. He got the answer right. Every kid does not think the same. Every kid way of figuring out things is not exactly the same. But to tell these kids that are free thinkers, that think outside the box, nope, you have to stay in this box. That's demonic. That's freaking evil. I don't know how they've been able to go this long in the first place. Yes, the Department of Education, I agree with Trump and Elon, whatever they're doing over there to kind of dismantle it. Yeah, it's been a complete failure. The children are illiterate. They stopped teaching, cursive. How are kids going to sign documents without them knowing cursive? How are they going to be able to read our Constitution and all of these historical documents which we live by if they don't even know cursive? Hello? And so that leaves it on us, the parents, to now have to teach these children how to write cursive, how to read cursive, because there is important historical documents written in all cursive. And if you don't know cursive, you won't be able to read them. Why do you think they want everything to go digital? So they can change it. They can change it. When you go digital, you can erase something and you'll never know that anything else before that existed. You can erase something, you can replace something, and we'll never know. And that is the ultimate goal. To erase history. They're already doing it. To try and erase history, rewrite it, create more stuff. It's happening already. So for those of you that are just looking for a reason to completely dog out Donald Trump, go ask your kid if they can read above a third grade reading level. Most of them can't. Like 85% of them cannot. It's ridiculous. I guess everybody needs somebody to be mad at this point. I mean, dang, like it's failing the kids and you're mad that he's saying, okay, we're going to deconstruct it and leave it to the states to decide how they want to run their education system. Because clearly this isn't working. It's not working. I'm confused. They even discovered that there's teachers literally just sitting in a room getting paid. They're not teaching kids. They're not doing anything. What? Are y'all okay?
I am thrilled that Donald Trump is dismantling the Department of Education because I taught school at the same school in Georgia for 30 years, and I saw things come and I saw things go. a lot of different trends, but I just think, especially with Common Core education, that education was really dumbed down a lot. And the way we had to teach, especially math concepts, was ridiculous. It's like they tried to make it hard on purpose. It's like half of the parents needed classes just to teach their fourth grader how to do the math back then. And I've been out of it for 3 or 4 years. And I'm sure I don't know that it's gotten any better, but I'm glad that the states will be in charge of what's going on, and the principals and the Board of Education and the teachers and the parents can help decide what they need their children to learn. Because when you have teenagers that don't know how many months are in the year, or it takes 3 minutes to figure out how many dimes are in a dollar, we have a problem. We seriously have a problem. And I mean, common sense is going out the window. I know things are different and they're all iPad kids and all that, and their attention spans are like that of a gnat. But anyway, all that being said, I still think it's a good idea to get rid of the Department of Education and let the states back in control. And also along that line, I believe in the discipline. As a fourth grade teacher, I mean, we had no way of, we spent 50% of our time or more getting on to children and not teaching. And that's the whole point of public education, is to go and be able to learn. So hopefully, with that being back, in the state's hands, maybe that can get better too. And it's the people that either their child would never have to be disciplined in a million years. They wouldn't want their child disciplined. I get that. But it's the kids that are terrible, the little troublemakers, their parents don't want them disciplined. I have a grandson that's 3. I'm like, if he needs it, get him, because he'll get it at home too. So hopefully we can get things straightened out in this country.
They may be smart, but we have freedom is an interesting thing one of my students said after the following activity. I start off by showing them an article headline that says Chinese students are performing better in tests than American students across all the categories, especially math. And then we spend some time looking at the day in the life of a Chinese student, much more rigorous, memorization based. They take school a lot more seriously. We follow that up with the 996 culture in China, which is working from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. And then we observe clips from the American Factory documentary, which compares Chinese factory and work culture to the Americans. And then I get the students to think. I say that we should change our education system and work system to compare to and compete with China. Now, it doesn't matter if I believe that or not, but the students have to agree or disagree and then think about why. The point is to get them to think about how much should we change of our culture to remain competitive in the world or the global board game. Because after that, we look at how Japan radically changed their culture to catch up to the rest of the world after isolation. So the question for you is, how much of our culture should benefit competition?
Have you seen the videos of kindergarten basketball competitions in China?
Yes.
Oh my god!
All in a line and they're dribbling.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Coordinated.
And it's like to music.
Yes.
It's incredible.
And then they just pan out and a bunch of kids are like playing recess. Like, this is just a normal
This is just what
drill.
they do. American children could never.
Like, they don't have enough respect.
The videos of the Chinese kindergartners being absolutely elite at everything that they do, they occupy 90% of my brain power right now. In kindergarten, they just hand them a basketball and they say, time to work on your handles. Look at this. We have a generation full of iPad kids, and this is what they're doing. They're just elite at everything they do. They're more advanced than probably 8th graders now in America. These are all our, look at this, look what they're doing. These are all our future bosses. This isn't like, look, they even know how to cook. This isn't like, oh, we went down the local gymnastics and these are the top of the top. No, this is just like, recess. Time to work on your cooking skills and how to be the absolute greatest. Look at this. They just give them basketballs. I need to know more, and I'm going to find out more. I know a lot about Japanese baseball culture. It's crazy, but I need to know more. This is unbelievable. Can you imagine trying this in American public school? I'm serious. Can you imagine it? One of the kids would start crying. The other be like, why is my basketball not inflated like the other basketball? Then the other one would call their parents. We're doomed. We're doomed.
Large Voice to this extent, thank you so much for being here. All right, apart from the comparison that people are making, one thing that I'm observing is I don't know how many people believed that everything that Americans were doing was the way to go, because that the country that was out there, that was the country that was shining. Yeah, the US was shining, America was shining. That's most of the time we could see what China is doing, but you could look at it as maybe it's a game or something. Oh my goodness. But now that China is on a hill shining with the coming of rednote, I think people are starting now to have a new perspective. I don't know how many people have even taken their children off the African system to take them to the US because it was called a US system of education, and they're now homeschooling them because America is the standard. They want to have their children at home and learning what Americans are learning, and then they keep telling these children, actually we're doing American system, and everyone is like, yeah, it's American. Anyway, yeah, I'm just, anyway, I don't know, the comparison is being made, especially and I'm glad that it's made by Americans. So really, I don't know what to say, because at this point, no, China deserves its flowers, because everything that is being done in the US right now, things that are being implemented, if you follow along, it's taking China way of doing things. That's my conclusion, because I've been following the executive orders and things that are happening. It's kind of a this communism in brackets, democracy that is happening, yeah, that we don't really, we don't know yet what's the full picture and the direction that they're heading to. But yeah, that's what I'm reading from this. Thank you so much for being here. This is Comfort for Life. I bring to you a compilation of TikTok videos for educational purposes. I believe this video is edifying to you, and let's have a conversation in the comment section. What do you think about this video? Do you like it? Was it beneficial to you? What can you tell us about what you've learned from the video? Let's interact and let's have an objective conversation in the comment section. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. You can as well support the channel. Goodbye for now. Appreciate you.